Hi, I'm Rita Coberly. I am proud to support this episode of Salute.
Welcome to Central Florida Salute YouTube. I'm your host, Bob Peters, and once again, I'm here in Oklahoma at the Eagles 4273. Thanks for their hospitality. And I have an Army vet who is with the Patriot Guard Riders, Walt Lobinske, right?
Correct.
See, you thought I wasn't going to get that name right, huh? Walt, tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally?
Well, I was an Air Force brat. My dad served 26 years between World War II. He got out after World War II. He was in the Army Air Corps and got out, then went back into the Air Force, and then he retired in 1969. So I'm not original from anywhere. I'm from everywhere. So
you're a military brat.
I'm a military brat. So
yeah.
I was born in Illinois. At 9 months, I went to France, and then at 3 years, we came back. We were in Georgia twice, Texas twice, Illinois a second time. And then he retired from Moody Air Force Base, and then we moved to Florida in 1969.
So what rank did he make in the...
He was a tech sergeant when he got out, so which is an E6.
Yeah.
He worked with simulators at Moody Air Force Base, training the pilots on the simulators and working with that when he retired.
Oh, good.
And then we came to Florida, and I graduated from Eustis High School in 1975. That's how I know Keith, because I went to school with his one brother, Jimmy.
Yeah. In fact, Keith told me your brother Jimmy jumped with him or something.
We were both in the 82nd Airborne Division. We went in, I went in October, he went in November. We both got stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, both with the 82nd. And I don't think neither one of us knew the other one was going into Airborne, but we ended up there. He was in a headquarters company because he was in finance, and then I was in infantry. I was a ground pounder infantry with the 82nd.
So you didn't make any jumps, right?
I made approximately between the Guard and full-time I made approximately 90 some jumps.
Wow.
Static line jumps. So.
Yeah. Well, still.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Air Force. I never went out of a perfectly good airplane.
Well, the ones we jumped out of weren't perfectly good. So.
Oh. So you had to. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Well, just a story for that, and that's what I tell everybody. We were flying back from California from being out there for a month, and as we were coming to the drop zone at Fort Bragg, we were in the C-141s, and as they opened the door to prepare us to jump out of the plane, the door fell across our static line. So we couldn't jump. We had to land sitting down on the ground. So that's why I say they're not perfectly good airplanes.
Yeah, yeah. I went overseas in the C-141.
All right.
And then we landed in Okinawa, but I was on my way to Thailand, during Vietnam. And the guy says, "You're going to be here for a day." And he said, "Why is that?" He says, "We just blew hydraulic fluid all over the runway. Luckily, the wheels locked, So I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. But so anyway, you went all over the country, and one day you said, "Army's for me."
Well, I had always had that thought in my mind.
I'm surprised your dad, Air Force, didn't try to get you in the Air Force.
He did talk about it.
Yeah.
But I explained to him what I was wanting, and he understood. He was in World War II in Saipan with the B-29s during World War II. And the funny part is my wife's dad was on Saipan during World War II, but at the same time, and he was in the Marines. They were still clearing the island when my dad was there. They were making the airport.
Yeah.
And he drove a fuel truck for the B-29, so they were there at the same time, basically.
Yeah, I got to fly in Fifi a B-29.
Okay.
Yeah, And I did meet a guy who was with the Distinguished Flying Cross. His name is Ken Taylor during World War II, and he was there. They used to drop the bombs in Japan. And he told me a story one time how they were stationed somewhere and they couldn't get around, and they landed somewhere and they saw a Jeep. He said, I wonder if that Jeep will fit in the belly of this plane. They stole a Jeep. I can sell that now. Ken is with the Lord, so, you know, you're not going to get him in trouble.
Yeah.
But he was a great man. Anyway, so when you first went in, where did you go to
I went to basic training at Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
South Carolina.
Yeah, and Jimmy Oliver went to the same area for basic training. And actually, we met up there. Mm-hmm. We found out we were both there, and we were able to meet briefly. And then I went to AIT infantry training at Fort Polk, Louisiana. And from there, I went to Fort Benning for jump school. And then I went to my assigned duty, which was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
How long were you there?
I was there for basically almost 4 years, minus the time of basic AIT jump school.
So how long did you do active? You were active for
4 years.
4 years. Then you went in the reserve, did you?
Then I went in active reserve for a couple years, and in 1981 I joined a National Guard unit, Special Forces National Guard unit over in Tampa, Florida. And then I started training and going through and doing my qualifications for Special Forces. And then in the midst of that, I met my wife. We got married. She was previously married. She had a little girl. So I had an instant family. Mm-hmm. And we were 2 weeks after marriage. We got married. We had to go to Fort Sam Houston for me to do more medical training, because I also went in as a medic for the Special Forces. And while we were out there, I made the decision that it was basically time for me to give up. So it was time to. I had a family to worry about. I didn't have to worry about, because I was already working 2 jobs and working every other weekend, and then the Guard was another weekend, and so it was like there was no time for family, because I was working mornings and at nights.
Yeah. So
I made that decision, and it's worked out. I mean, sometimes I say, well, what if I had stayed in? But then God had his own vision on that.
We all have those moments. What ifs? Yeah.
But I don't. There's no regrets at all about what I made the decision on. No. So, and then I worked for UPS for 37 years. Okay. I started when I was going to college out at Lake Sumter, and then when I got out of Lake Sumter, I was trying to get into the University of Florida architectural program, and my counselor that I had as a high school teacher was the counselor at Lake Sumter, and he tried all kind of avenues to get me in, and they kept denying me for different reasons. I didn't have enough prerequisites, or then I went to another place and no, you didn't have these qualifications. So I got turned down 3 times.
Well, what about your military with the GI Bill? And that didn't.
Well, it still did, but the University of Florida turned me down.
Oh.
And they were the only ones that had an architectural program at the time.
Oh, so, okay.
And then I said, okay. And then I ended up, that's when I went back into the Guard when I was at Lake Sumter. Then I met my wife in '83. She was working part-time at UPS for a part-time agency. And we knew each other for about 9 months before we started dating, and then off and on.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. We've had 4
yeah.
children, and we're on our 13th grandchild right now.
So. Wow. You got me beat. But then again, I got 8 great-grands.
No, we don't have that yet. So.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah. So anyway, you had a very great career at UPS.
Yes.
And you're retired.
I'm retired, yes.
You look very young to be retired, by the way. I don't know how old you are, but you look, relatively young. And somewhere along the line, you said, I'm going to be a member of the Patriot Guard Riders.
I was still working at UPS.
Uh-huh.
And I had an early morning delivery to a house out in the Haynes Creek area. It was the next day, early a.m. I had to be there by 9 o'clock. I made the delivery, And the people came out and said, "Oh, we need this because we're doing a mission today with the Patriot Guard. This is for our bikes." It was a husband and wife team. So that's how I found out about the Patriot Guard. So then I started checking in on it, and then my wife signed me up in 2012, and then I finally was able to do my first mission in 2013. And my first mission with the Patriot Guard Riders was with a KIA helicopter pilot from Inverness. And so I saw the mission. I wasn't working. I was on vacation at the time. I was able to ride my bike over to Inverness, met up with two other Patriot Guard riders who I'd never met them at the gas station as I was getting gas. They were waiting for another group of riders. They said, "You want to come with us?" I said, "Sure," because I didn't know where I was going. And so then I followed them to Inverness, and then I was hooked for being on the missions ever since then.
You know, doing what I do, I've been involved with the veterans community for 38 years, and I've gotten to know, like Charles Richardson was a good friend of mine, Santa Claus.
Santa Claus, yeah.
And I've gotten to meet a lot of you guys, and I know some things about, road captains and this and that.
Ride captains, yes, sir.
Yeah, ride captains, and also how it started. But I want you to tell people how it all started, because and what you do, what you men and women do.
Okay, but the Patriot Guard Riders started in 2005. There was a church out of Oklahoma, I believe, Texas. Can't tell you which one for sure. I think it was Wahoo Church, but they started demonstrating and protesting the funerals for our heroes that were being killed in Afghanistan and Iraq. They were there calling them baby killers and all this other stuff, just like the Vietnam veterans happened to them when they returned. So a group of Vietnam veterans decided that we weren't going to have this happen. So they formed the Patriot Guard Riders, and they started showing up for the funerals with the flags and putting themselves between the family and these protesters, to where the protesters could no longer get close enough to disrupt the funeral services. And it's just grown. When I joined the Patriot Guard Riders, the thing said that in the state of Florida there was 10,000 Patriot Guard Riders signed up. Now they don't all show up, but that's how many at that time were members of Patriot Guard Riders. Yeah. So we do that for all funerals, and there's no charge. Some people think they have to pay. It's not. All you have to do is go to the Patriot Guard Riders website, and you can request this for any funeral, any military happening. And you can also request this. We'll do escorts. We'll escort the family member, our hero. We'll escort him to the cemetery.
Him or her.
Him or her, to the cemetery, and then we'll do the flag line at the cemetery. And there's no charge at all. I mean, we do take donations. We're a 501c just like you, a nonprofit, and that helps take care of. We have plaques we hand out to the family. We present them with a card, and all the riders who are there presently will sign the cards, and then we'll present the plaque and hand it to the family members.
Yeah, I've seen you guys at quite a few events up in Bushnell, and you also did an event at Ashley's house with the groundbreaking ceremony. Were you there for that?
Yes, I was.
You were there for that, yeah. We filmed some of that. And I've been impressed with the Patriot Guard Riders for a long time. That's a word, riders, though, but everybody is not a motorcycle rider. And,
right.
And what if I wanted to join, what are the requirements for me?
The requirements for anybody who wants to join, whether it doesn't matter your age, all you have to do is respect the flag, the American flag, and show respect to the person we're honoring. And that's the only requirement. You don't have to have a motorcycle.
You don't have to be military.
You don't have to be military. One of our ride captains, who's a real good friend of mine from UPS, is one of our ride captains. Me and him both started as ride captains together. He is non-military, but he does respect, and he is there. We have quite a few that are non-military. My wife is a member. She was in the military. She's a member, and even my grandson, who's only, he'll be 11 in January. So he's been doing it for about a year and a half. So it doesn't matter age. It doesn't matter what you drive. You could drive a truck. You could drive a car. Your motorcycle, if you have a motorcycle.
Hitchhike if you want. We don't
If
care.
you can hitchhike, yeah, but it's going to be harder to get there. But,
Yeah.
most of us do ride motorcycles, but that's not a requirement. And it doesn't matter what type of motorcycle. We have all shades, colors, and brands. And
So you get a request from the family of a fallen soldier, and then you got to get the ride. How's that work? The ride captain has to get a hold of people, or you got a list?
the request has to go through our national website, which is Patriot Guard Riders. They put in that they were requesting us. They give the dates of when they have to have gone to the funeral home and wherever they're being buried. The national cemeteries will take care of a lot of that stuff if they call them. Because just recently, the last few months, we buried my ex-brother-in-law. We did a service. We escorted him from D-Land all the way to the Florida National Cemetery, and then we did the service there. We did the flag line. But you just have to request. You got to have a copy of the DD-214, because if you're trying to get in a national cemetery, you have to have that for them to accept you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then we'll post it. We have an assistant state captain that's assigned to our area, and he will post the information on the website, write up the mission. He contacts the ride captains and say, hey, I've got a mission. Can you do it? And then once that ride captain accepts it, he posts the mission, and it's emailed out to everybody who has requested missions from the state of Florida. It's also posted on the national site.
How do you get to be a ride captain? Who dictates who's the ride captain?
They come to you and ask you to be one. You can ask to be one, but most of the time it's the assistant state captain and our state captain who lives in St. Cloud area. They'll come and say, we would like you to think about being a ride captain.
Mm-hmm.
Some have a lot of experience, some don't. Some people don't want to do it, some don't mind doing it.
Yeah, because I imagine it's a lot of work coordinating all this, you know.
Well, that's what an assistant state captain does. He does all the coordination. The state captain, he kind of like, he's up there and he's got like 6 different assistant state captains underneath him in Florida. And they do the work and they post it to us, but then we have to be there early to find out all the information on where the service is going to be taken care of at the National Cemetery. And then we do the briefing. We discuss the hero that is being buried. And then we lead them over and then do the mission there.
Yeah, I know you guys do a lot of those funerals, which is, I think, is outstanding what you do. But I know you, like I said, I know you also do special events, like Ashley's house when they had the groundbreaking. You guys were there. I did a show with a lady wasp one time, which they're all past since, you know, but she was World War II wasp.
Right.
At the library, and you guys were there with a flag line, some of your members, I should say. And so you not only do funerals, but you do special events. Like
We do special events, anything that does with the military. And also now we are also doing first responders. First responders can also request us to do their funeral services. Anything that has to do with first responders, the police, fire them. We're requested, like Mission Barbecue in Lady Lake is real good at requesting us for special veteran events.
that's quite the group there.
They are quite the group. They love us coming. we'll come in, we'll put our bikes out with the flags on them, and they have a special spot for us to park so people can see them. We'll do a flag line prior to their opening, and then they do their ceremony that they're doing for Veterans Day or Memorial, whatever it is that they're asked us to be there for. They do that. We also have our own, the state of Florida, Patriot Guard. We also have our own miniature moving Vietnam Wall.
Yeah, not only Vietnam, you have.
We have the war on terrorism.
That's right. You know
And
what?
we've also-
You were going to bring it to Leesburg at one time.
We've had it at Leesburg.
Well, there was a storm or something that came through, and they had to cancel that. You were going to bring it down at the Veterans Park. It didn't. That didn't happen right away. I don't know what it was.
No, I don't think we've ever. No, we didn't make it to Veterans Park, but
No,
we
I
did
know you
have it.
didn't.
We did last year, Leesburg, for the Vet Fest when they had it at Gator Harley.
Yes, I saw you guys up
We
there.
set
for that.
both of our walls up for that.
in Eustis, right?
Well, we've done it in Eustis, but then last year's event they moved it to Leesburg,
Oh, okay.
to Gator Harley.
Gator Harley, yeah.
So we set the walls up for that there. And we just recently have added the Gulf War veterans to our war on terrorism. So prior to this year, they weren't on our wall, but now they are.
Good.
And
That's
our
great.
and of course, immediately after the Afghanistan, when the 13 died in Afghanistan, those names were put on our wall within the week. Because
And certain organizations can request, well, like you said, Gator Harley requested you guys to bring them.
well, it was the Lake County Vet Fest did.
Yeah,
Mission
Lake
Barbecue
County,
does.
yeah.
It's as
Now,
long as it's a military organization.
They got to get contacted to the YouTube, to a website or whatever.
They have to request that one through. They could put in, I guess, through the national, but it's up to the assistant state captain and the state captain. His name is Dave Shelton, because he keeps them at his property on St. Cloud.
Okay.
We've got a trailer that holds both walls, and they stay in that trailer along with everything that we set up. When they did the Honor Festival in Daytona last year, to welcome home the Vietnam veterans after all these years, we set up both of our walls on the infield of the Daytona Raceway.
Now, let me ask you, how many members do you have in Florida? And Patriot Guard riders are not only in Florida.
No,
correct?
we're in all 50 states.
Yeah.
We're across
So
the nation.
how many across the nation do you think there are?
I have no idea. Like
That
I
was
said,
your homework assignment for today.
I don't know if there's a thing posted for saying that, but when I got a letter when I joined, and it told me that there was 10,000 in the state of Florida.
Wow.
Well, because I received a letter from the Patriot Guard that told me that in the state of Florida there was 10,000 PGR members that had signed up. Now you don't always see that many people, obviously, and a lot of those have passed away also. But it's a mission where you get an email, you decide whether you can do it or not. You don't have to do every mission. You don't have to do so many missions. It's all volunteers. So when you can do one, you can do one. Mm-hmm. If it's only once or twice a year, it's once or twice a year. If it's 2 or 3 times a week, 4 times a week, it's whatever you decide.
Yeah, I would guess a lot. It depends on the individual, whether they be retired or whether they're not working, and
Right.
if they have the time.
Well, I started when I started, I was still working at UPS, but the route that I ran, I worked Tuesday through Saturday because I went to the airport to get our next day air packages. So on Mondays, if there was a mission, I was able to go to one. Or if there was one later in the afternoon, I would get done about 11, 12 o'clock sometimes, and I was able to go to those missions.
How many do you think you've done?
I've done close to 300 missions myself.
Wow, I salute you, sir.
One of our ride captains, one of my friends, he's from the west coast of Florida, over in Hudson. He just has recently finished completing 1,600 missions.
Wow, that's amazing.
A lot of them have been around. Some of them have been around since 2006, 2007, 2008. But But Jack has been, there's not many missions he doesn't go to. He doesn't miss many. He's been retired from the Army, and he tries to go to every mission that he can go.
Well, that's amazing. I salute him.
Yeah.
I know, like I said, I've been around several of you people, writers, but I don't know a lot of you by name.
Right.
Charles Santa Claus.
He
was my good friend, and I would see him, and once in a while we'd say, "Hey, Santa, we need some people for Reese Across America," and you'd be there.
Right.
You guys were always there for anything like that. It's amazing to see the patriotic support, and I tell you, it's great. You're a veteran, I'm a veteran, but to see that, it's neat.
Speaking of the Reese, we are now partnered with them, especially for Arlington National Cemetery. If you go on our site, there's a spot there talking about Reese Across America with us. I've been involved in escorting for the last 3 years, escorting the Reese in from the Walmart distribution center down in Brooksville. We meet early in the morning, and we escort the trailers to the cemetery for them to pass out.
They do a lot of it at Bushnell, which is really good, but there's a lot of small towns like Leesburg, Lone Oak Cemetery. I've been there for several of those. In fact, I spoke at one of them. And you guys are there for that. You're there in Fruitland Park, wherever it is. There's always
wherever they request us, we'll go.
Yeah,
we've been to places that we couldn't believe we got back to them. I've heard stories about
where is this place?
There people. Some of the stories are like, where are we going? Down a dirt road to a cemetery down in the middle of nowhere.
You sure you know where you're going?
Yeah. We also we'll drive by people for celebrating their birthday. Last year, I led a mission. We met at, they changed names now, out on 25 Lady Lake, Marion County. It used to be Marion County Bar, but now it's a smokehouse. And we met there as a group, and we escorted a World War II vet who was celebrating his 101st birthday.
Wow.
He didn't know, he knew he was going somewhere, he didn't know what was going on. His family came up, met us there. We had Lake County motorcycles, led us. We led him to Mission Barbecue, and it celebrated his birthday. We've been requested to do drive-bys for birthdays because they're in nursing homes, they can't get out, or they can't go far. We'll go by and do drive-bys with the flags.
They had a drive-by a couple of years ago. John Pierre Lamont Belafonte. He was last of the Battle of the Bulge, and he was a dear friend of mine. If you watch my YouTube, you'll see him.
Okay.
And you talk about. Well, I'm very proud of what we have done. We've had people here that are 101 years old, 98, you name it, and.
Well, one of our writers, he's a Michigan writer, and he's also a Florida writer because he's a snowbird. He has a place over in Bushnell at Red Oaks, and last year he brought his dad, who's a World War II vet. And so his dad's 100 years old, and he started coming to every one of our missions.
You bring him over here, and we'll interview him on Central Florida.
So I don't know if he's back. I just saw the son. We did a mission over in Red Oaks where we went to a Marine Vietnam veteran who had stage 4 cancer, colon cancer. So we did a ride-by, and then we stopped and got out and presented him with a plaque for all he's done, and he thanked us. And so we do also do that, just to pick up his spirits. He was pretty low on his spirits.
Yeah.
But that's the type of things we do. And again, we've been asked to come to schools, and show the kids see us with the flags.
Just show them how to fold the flag and all
that.
that.
Well, we have not done that, but we do go there and do a flag line when some schools, especially if they're a private school, they'll have they'll have like Veterans Day or something like
Yeah.
that, where they'll do a thing and they'll ask us to be there for that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. You know, but okay. So now we're to the point now that people are watching this. Say, you know, I think I might want to join the Patriot Guard Riders. How am I going to do that?
All you have to do is go to the Patriot Guard Riders website. And then there's a spot that in there says you want to join. And you go through, and all you have to do
gotta
is say,
tell them this that's a national.
That's a
website?
national website.
So you got to say I'm in Florida and blah blah blah.
But once you go on, you put your request that you want to join. You put your name and it's asked you information. You got to put your email and everything, and then some of the stuff is whether you want to put it on or not. And then you put join, and then it'll ask you what missions you want.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in the state of Florida, so having missions come in from Oklahoma or Nebraska don't do me any good.
Right.
So you request the state you want. Like some of the ones in Jacksonville can request Florida and Georgia because they can go to both.
Speaking of being in Florida,
Yes.
we talked a little bit before with this interview. It just reminded me of something. You wanted to talk about the children of the fallen.
Yes, Gold Star families.
Tell us about what you guys are up to, and how can somebody support you?
Well, we're involved now with the Gary Sinise Foundation. Gary Sinise Foundation took over what they call Snowball Express. It was being done out in Texas, and when Gary Sinise took over, and Gary Sinise, they were doing it on an Air Force base, and they just had bounce houses and everything like that. Well, Gary Sinise, you know, he doesn't do anything second fiddle.
No,
He's
Gary,
first fiddle.
he's quite the guy.
Gary Sinise got a hold of it. His foundation took it, made arrangements with Walt Disney World to bring it to Disney World in Orlando, Florida. So every first weekend in December, American Airlines for free will fly every Gold Star family to Orlando. We'll have 18 flights come in. Orlando, Disney, from what I understand, they put them up at Coronado for free. So this year we are setting up on December 1st. The kids come in on December 2nd. And they will leave on the 6th, a Wednesday. Everything is paid for. They don't spend 1 cent unless they want to.
They want
Everything's
Disney
taken
dollar.
care of. Their food, their housing, transportation. They fly in to Orlando, and they land on the Tradeport side of Orlando International Airport. And there we bring buses out onto the airport. We'll have a group of our Patriot Guard riders out there with the flags, and when they come off the planes, we greet them with the flags, and they'll have American Airline volunteers, Disney volunteers, greeting them, cheering them on as they come off and they get on the bus. And they'll have another group of Patriot Guard riders out front waiting, and when the buses come out the gate, we escort them to the Coronado Springs.
Yeah.
And then once they get off that bus again, they're greeted by hundreds of people celebrating them, cheering them on, and then we go back and do it again. So
Now, isn't there a website or something if people want to donate money to help make this happen? How does that? Do you know anything about the donations or no?
there is donations. We do a lot of fundraisers. In order for us, because the expense comes to the Florida Patriot Guard Riders. So the Florida Patriot Guard Riders do the expense for that. You can also donate to Gary Sinise Foundation for what they do, the stuff that they do. Again, they're put up just to give you an idea of what else goes on there. The Florida Patriot Guard Riders, we also have our own room set aside in Coronado, one of the conference rooms. And we set up a sewing room. We call it It's the Patriot Guard room, and we will give every child that wants a vest a leather vest. And with that vest comes with Snowball Express patch already sewn on it, American patch, Florida Patriot Guard Riders patch. They'll have again, American flag. We have this year we've put on there, it says biker in training patch. And then they'll come in, they'll be fitted for the vests. And then they'll go over to tables and we'll have free patches for them. Military patches, fun patches. They get to choose 7 patches of what they want. They tell us where they want it, they put them in their pocket of the vest, and we have 20 sewing machines and 2 embroidering machines that belong to us in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
And we have women, men sewing around the clock until they leave, until that Tuesday night. And last year we set a record. We gave out 960-some vests, leather vests. Now that expense comes to the Florida Patriot Guard Riders. We get donations. We buy those vests. We're in the process now of refilling those vests. We had a sewing bee here a week ago, Friday and Saturday.
So would somebody send a donation to the Patriot Guard Riders and put like a memo for Snowball Express, or how do you know?
It's got to get to the Florida Patriot Guard Riders.
You send a contribution straight to the
Florida Patriot Guard Riders.
Okay.
And then from there, or you'll have my website. They could send it, and then I can process that up.
We'll put it in on the show here.
Okay.
I have a very
and I will get
very great staff.
And I'll get I will get the state captain's email, and they can be sent to him. So
Okay.
we do the vests. That's the most popular thing the kids do. Sometimes they get off the bus before they even check in. They come to see us.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
And then from there they go over and they get their pictures taken. Orlando Harley donates 2 bikes for us to use for pictures and the
You
stands.
have a picture we're going to show in here.
Yes, me and my wife on the bikes with a bear with the leather vest on. And then we also have 2 dog tag machines. So we make dog tags. The kids get to put whatever they want on those dog tags. And then we'll have tables with free giveaways, in which people, recruiters, donate stuff that says U.S. Army, Marines, Air Force, Navy, and the kids go by and get what they want.
Great. Well, I think we're running out of time.
Okay.
And I want to thank you for coming on. You're going to be on the radio with me.
Okay.
And but it's time to say goodbye. We look at that camera right there.
Okay.
And just follow my lead. To all our veterans out there, our active military and their families, we salute you for all you do. Till next time.